This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is March 6, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, you know I'm joined by the co-host, Luke Sylvia. What's up, Luke?
It just feels like we can't get an episode out after a win. This is the second week it's happened, or second time it's happened in the last week, right? Where the Magic win, and then, they win, and then they lose, and then we record, and we put an episode up. Doing it all over again. I would love to be able to come to people with more energy than this. But it's been like, I think they didn't Is This Anything, right? On the Magic, and basically not being able to string together 2 wins in a row since like January or something.
So it was February 3rd and February 5th. So that game against Charlotte, Sunday, February 5th, we would have recorded after that, after a win. Mm-hmm. Since then, Tuesday, February 7th was a loss. We recorded that Wednesday. Then they lost that Saturday to Miami in overtime. We recorded the next day. They lost to Toronto on Valentine's Day, which was a Tuesday. We recorded that Wednesday. Saturday, February 25th, they lost to Indiana. We recorded that Sunday. We recorded Wednesday after the Milwaukee loss. So it's been a month. It has been a freaking month, Luke, that we've recorded a podcast like immediately following a win.
It's truly, I just think maybe we need to shake up our recording days, Maybe we just don't record at all. How's that? And then we can see how the trend goes. Tempting?
I gotta say, with the news that has just piled up this week along with the losses, there's like 5% of me that was like, I don't even want to do this. I love doing this. Like, I don't take it for granted at all. But I'm sure we are feeling the way a lot of you are feeling that are listening to this, where, let's just be real. This still may be a little bit of a over-exaggeration, but if you just start to do the math, and I think Luke has done the math and might be able to help us with this.
We got the math.
The season is over. Like, the season of like the Magic,
everybody just shuts the podcast off.
I mean, you might as well.
All right, they said it's over.
The season, in terms of the Magic's hopes of making the play-in, making the postseason, the season is over. Now with the Jonathan Isaac news, it's like even more gutting than like I can imagine. Like I cannot believe it. I thought we were over this. We're gonna have a full Jonathan Isaac conversation, but just like, I think a lot of Magic fans right now are just feeling like the season is over. Let's continue to develop these guys. The last 18 games, get everybody else out of the season healthy. Chicago lost to Indiana tonight. Chicago's sitting there right above us at 12th in the Eastern Conference. If we're talking about league-wide standings, we're 5th. Chicago is 6th. Like, let's get out of the season healthy. Let's get 2 top 10 lottery picks. And, then the ascension to contention. We need to trademark that. Ascension to contention. I like that a lot. That should start this upcoming season, but this has been a long year.
So we did a random tankathon a few weeks ago, Jonathan. When does this start again? When do we start running
as fast as my little fingers can type tankathon? Let's go ahead and simulate the lottery. Orlando Magic with the number 1 and number 8 picks. Look at us go.
That's beautiful.
I like that.
That is beautiful.
I have to say.
That is beautiful. I also want to say
that would give us Victor Wembanyama and Keontae George. I would do that.
That's fine.
I'm good with that.
Welcome to our diehard fans.
Welcome to lottery season, folks.
I think that's who we've got the rest of the way until after the draft, or maybe like an episode before the draft, is the diehard fans at this point on listening to our episodes. So welcome aboard. You've made it this far. Let's just keep going. We can vent together. we can do math together here at the end of the season and see just how far the Magic are away from the play-in. But then we get to do these tankathon sims, which can get you pretty excited. The 1-8, I'm all aboard for the 1-8. Can't lie to you.
First try, that felt pretty good. I must
Mm-hmm.
say that felt pretty good.
The finger felt good.
I mean, it wasn't even me. Like Tankathon just did its thing, but I'm good with the results if I'm
Mm-hmm.
being totally honest. I think if we
Mm-hmm.
win the lottery again, that next episode will probably do numbers. And folks, maybe this is premature. Maybe we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. We are running back
Sure.
the draft lottery watch party, so we're getting that set up. All of that is kind of in motion. Details to follow, obviously, but that's going to be Tuesday, May 16th. So whatever you got to do, put in your PTO for work. Make sure you have that night off. There's a lot of people last year. They're like, oh, I was going to go and then I didn't go and now I'm kicking myself. Don't be that person again. All right. Especially if we win it again, you'll be sorry if you miss that.
And here's the thing. The Bulls right now are outside of the play-in, and they're going to be like a game and a half, maybe 2 games back after the games play out tonight, mainly the Washington Bucks game, which I know is close in the 4th. The Bulls will be playing it out for the play-in, for the rest of the way. Let's say they make the play-in, Jonathan. I don't think it'll matter because I don't think they're getting out of the play-in. So you're still looking at a lottery pick. It'll be very exciting to see how the season plays out because not only will, at this point we're, like you said, we're looking at the Magic, but we're not really like the rest of the season. Obviously, you and I will be watching the games, putting out episodes, but we will also be just as closely looking at the standings, looking at the box scores when it comes to the Bulls, because that pick is ginormous, as we all know, but it's going to get very real very soon as to how important this pick will be for the team.
At what point does the Chicago front office look and be like, we're only 2 games ahead of the Magic? We could use a couple percentage points more to try to hold on to our pick, because if by some chance, they are able to jump up into the top 4, that would be huge for them, whether that means adding a one of the Thompson twins or Scoot or maybe even Wemby to their roster, or if you're if the Bulls are going to have any route in terms of like upgrading their roster, having a top 4 pick to pair with, I don't know, do you trade Zach LaVine and the 4th pick to try to bring in a guy that's maybe a little bit better than him into the fold? I really don't know, but maybe Chicago starts taking a look at this like, man, maybe if we can fall below Orlando and get some better odds, because they're obviously not winning a title. Like they're getting maybe 1 game in a first round series right now. So
yeah, well, you got Vooch as a free agent this offseason.
Yeah.
You got DeRozan with 1 more year on the contract, and obviously you have LaVine for years to come if you want him. But yeah, do you look at getting rid of DeRozan and Vooch and going back, just going back to LaVine basically? I don't know. I don't know what they do, but they have a lot of decisions to be made. I personally don't think that they go the route of like getting a couple percentage points more likely. I just think they let it ride out. Maybe players take some time off when they get hurt here and there, but nothing super crazy. They're bad enough. Like they are truly, you talk about the Magic not really being a true like where they're at in the lottery team because of health. The Bulls have, I mean, they've Vooch been healthy most of the season. And you've at least had, 1 or 2 of the stars. So at any given time, and they're still where they're at. So yeah, you gotta move forward.
Yeah. We want to take a minute just to talk about the watch party from Friday night that we had at Burton's. First of all, Luke and I failed our listeners with the read of the menu a couple of episodes ago.
I don't know what I have no explanation.
I don't know what was happening. The menu that we got a hold of was like all of this awesome sounding Mexican food. Burton's doesn't have any of that. Burton's has this little restaurant that's connected to Burton's called The Classic, which in its own right is absolutely phenomenal. The food that I had Friday night from The Classic at Burton's, I had these things called Thunder Thigh Bites. So it's like these fried like chicken thigh bites with their house-made kettle
chicken
chips.
Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean like almost like a boneless wing almost, I guess, with this spicy barbecue sauce. House-made kettle chips with like blue cheese crumbles was fantastic. Then I had this burger called the Fridge, which was like a beef patty, and then it was like a bratwurst patty. Just home run from the classic
Large
and
burger,
burned. Oh
thick
my gosh,
burger.
yeah. My buddy Joe came out, and he's like, dude, that's a lot of food. I said, watch me. Just cracked my knuckles and went to work. And sure enough, I was in a lot of pain that night. I woke up 2 a.m. with some acid reflux like you wouldn't believe, but very, very, very much worth it. But another fantastic turnout. Magic fans always bring in the energy. Again, my buddy Joe, he's never been to any of our events. He's been one of my best friends for a long time. He's like, I can't believe this. He's like, I can't believe like how big this is and how many people are here. And I'm like, what is it exactly that you think that I do with my life? 82 games a year plus recording, twice a week, and then all throughout the off season. Like, not to beat my chest, but we do this. Like, this is what we do. Like, if we don't do anything else well, we can put on a heck of a watch party.
Well, and that was the conclusion of watch party. So the final tally, Jonathan, 5-1, I believe, in watch party as far as our record goes. The only loss coming on opening night to the Detroit Pistons. So great turnouts as well. I think that I also meet someone new, multiple new people that I've never met before that talk about, listening to the show, being a diehard Magic fan. Just goes to show you just how many Magic fans are out there. And even though a lot of us out there, if you're not on Twitter or whatever, you could say like, I'm not close friends with like someone that watches the Magic. But you come to these events, you start seeing some familiar faces every now and then, you make connections, and then all of a sudden you have someone to talk Magic basketball with. So these are the events to come to if you're a Magic fan that doesn't have a lot of friends that are Magic fans, and you just like can't help but talk about the Magic. You're tired of talking about it at work to the people that don't watch Magic basketball or basketball in general. I know how that goes. And that's why I'm thankful for the outlet that we have and the one that we've, thankfully created up to this point. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. So thank you guys from the duration of the season coming out to these. Obviously, we appreciate the Magic and Michelob Ultra riding with us for those 6 watch parties. And, there was a point, Jonathan, where we didn't have any more left on the docket. There was no more watch parties left on the docket. The Magic and Michelob Ultra both said, we've gotten enough out of these parties. Let's do a couple more. And there would be more if the Magic were more in contention for play-in spots. And I'm disappointed about that, obviously. But just has been awesome this season to like take our connection with the Magic community to another level this season. And we're just going to continue to do more.
And all of the feelings that we've gotten so far, there's nothing official, but the plan is to do these, like pick these right back up next year. So if you enjoyed them this year or you missed out on them this year, you have next season to look forward to. I know we're not going anywhere. The Magic aren't going anywhere. Michelob Ultra isn't going anywhere. So we should have a lot more of these watch parties in the future to come. A big thank you to everybody that came out to them this season. Again, 5-1. My favorite one was definitely the one at Ollie's. Jalen Suggs hitting the game winner, because that game was just over and then it wasn't. And then the place just went crazy. What was so funny is like there was a lot of people there for that game winner, but like probably half of the people that were there left either like at halftime or midway through the third quarter or the last couple of minutes when the game kind of felt over. And then you just have this fantastic result. It was just so much fun. And then like I remember Terrence Ross sharing, our videos from that, and Jalen Suggs sharing the video from that. So
dude, awesome.
so
And I
fun.
think I want to I'll give another watch party that was my favorite. You unfortunately weren't able to be there. But the Magic just smack up all over the Boston Celtics at, I believe it was Cavo's. And it was a lot of fun. Energy in that place was electric from start to finish. They were all a ton of fun, and I could probably pick out something I loved about each one of them that I went to, because I think I made it out to 4. I think 4 out of the 6. So man, just incredible times. Gonna be making a lot more memories next year when the team is better. Even do we go undefeated next year at watch parties? I don't know. Very possible.
Luke, let's talk about the state of the Magic. So this week, the Magic went 2-2 on the week, which brings them to a record on the season of 27-38. They currently have the 5th worst record in the league. They are 13th in the Eastern Conference and now 4 games back of Washington for the final play-in spot. We talked about the fact that with the Chicago Bulls loss to the Indiana Pacers tonight, the Chicago Bulls are just above us at 12. I'm guessing Indiana has some kind of tiebreaker over the Chicago Bulls. They're both 29 and 36. Indiana Pacers sitting at 11, the Bulls sitting at 12. So you're 2 games back of the Pacers and the Bulls. You're 4 games back of the Washington Wizards. You're 5 games back of the Toronto Raptors, who are sitting at 9 in the Eastern Conference. Even some kind of miracle, the Magic go on a crazy run the rest of the way. I believe that the 9th seed is completely and utterly out of reach at this point. Again, it would take a miracle to get into the play-in. With the Washington Wizards right now, they're 4 games up on you, but I'm very confident that you're no chance in you-know-what to get to 9. The Magic have an offensive rating on the season of 111.3, which ranks 25th in the league. They have a defensive rating of 113.8, which ranks 19th in the league. Their overall net rating is negative 2.5, which is 25th in the league. And now this is the part that's going to make me depressed. Let's talk about the injury report. Gary Harris was out Sunday with left adductor soreness. I really wish I never would have heard this word adductor because I didn't know what it was before this week, and now it's top 5 least favorite words of all time. Wendell Carter Jr. was also out Sunday with some left hip pain. Franz Wagner left the Hornets game on Friday in the second quarter with a pretty nasty left ankle sprain. We thought he was going to be gone the rest of the season. When he went down, he was almost holding like the upper shin, like knee area. So my brain said like high ankle sprain, and high ankle sprains is usually multiple weeks. And at that point, what's the point in risking Franz, re-injuring that and not having a healthy summer? But in Terminator-like fashion, like you said in our group chat, Luke, Franz Wagner played Sunday and, almost helped the Magic get to a victory. And then this is the biggest piece of news on the week. Jonathan Isaac out for the season, requiring surgery for a left adductor tear. I'm driving in the car. Luke and I, we talked about the fact that on the last episode, our wives who work together, they had this kind of like work retreat this Saturday, Friday and Saturday in Orlando. So I'm driving out there with my kids. I'm getting the call from you and Kevin that J.I. tore his left adductor and was having season-ending surgery. And my mind just went blank. Like I was like numb to this at this point. How many times have we gone through this? It's a massive blow to lose J.I. for the rest of the season. We'll talk about the implications on the future of Jonathan Isaac's basketball career and what it means for the Orlando Magic. But I just cannot believe for this kid who has fought so hard, who has worked so hard, who has been so resilient the last 3 years, basically, coming back from constant injuries, to finally be back, playing really well, contributing to the Magic winning basketball games, and now more basketball has been taken away and robbed from this kid. And it sucks, Jonathan Isaac is one of my very favorite players. And at this point, there are unavoidable questions that you need to ask and answer about Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah. I think it is super tough because on one hand, you could say to yourself, there's no way Jonathan Isaac has another injury left in him, right? That could sideline him for the rest of the season, like the ACL, obviously the injury that in a normal season probably would have taken him out for the rest of the year. That same season in January on New Year's Day when he gets injured, you have the ACL, you have this instance, and it's just like there's on one hand you can think that way. There's no way there's another injury like this left, and then on the other hand, there's probably a part of you that's like, I don't even want to find out. Like, I don't want to take another chance because you get so high on this kid. I mean, the Magic played well, very well with J.I. in limited minutes this year, albeit a small sample size, but it wasn't nothing. So it's hard, and like you said, and it's pretty much what I quote tweeted about JI injury news was, most of all, I feel terrible for him. He continues to work his way back. The mental fortitude this kid has, we've said it multiple times, is just incredible. But at this point, man, it's tough to really know what's on the horizon for him, and it's also tough to know what this front office is going to do moving forward with him.
So just to give a little bit of context, Luke, in 11 games, J.I. averaged 11 minutes per game, 5.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1.3 steals, I believe 41% from the floor, 40% from the three-point line. But the thing that was most encouraging was the way that he was playing. Like those 11 minutes, he was giving you everything that he had, was making a massive impact really on both ends of the floor. And like defensively was almost there. Like, I don't know, 85, 90% of what he was a few years ago. And it seemed just like as he got more comfortable, that was just like continuing the trend upward from day one. You know, they're putting him on, Jason Tatum, like as soon as he comes back. Right. And in those 11 games, this is not hyperbole. Like he was obviously making a massive impact. The Magic were 8-3 in those 11 games. It seems like recently, when he would miss a game here, like second night of a back-to-back, and the Magic would lose, and you were like, oh, well, if we had Jonathan Isaac, we win this game.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan Isaac, we're going back to this past week, ruled out of the game against New Orleans, wasn't going to travel. And then you and I were immediately said, oh, if he's not traveling on Monday, he's not going to play on Wednesday. And we said if he's not back Friday for the Charlotte game, then something is very, very wrong. Now, where we should have, our ears should have perked up was Thursday when Jonathan Isaac was a full 24 hours before the Hornets game on Friday. Jonathan Isaac was ruled out, which in the moment didn't seem like, it seemed kind of weird, but I was like, maybe it's really not that big of a deal. They know he's not going to be ready. But like the injury report doesn't have to be submitted until 5:30 local time the day of the game. So when it was like, I don't know, it was like the middle of the day on Thursday that he was out, I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but I didn't think anything of it. So apparently what happened was Jonathan Isaac had the hamstring strain, was out Monday, I believe practiced with the team on Tuesday, and then had some discomfort during the practice, got the MRI on Wednesday that revealed the adductor tear, and then had successful surgery on Friday. So anybody that is questioning what the adductor is, so this is right from Google. It's an important group of muscles located on your inner thigh that serve to bring your legs toward the center of your body. So if you're lift your leg outward, and when you pull your leg back into your body, that would be your adductor. That's adduction. Bringing the motion of bringing your legs inwards is called adduction. So it's essentially around your groin muscle that helps bring your leg, again, back into your body. And reading a little bit about adductor tears here, says an adductor tear is caused by groin strain resulting from a sudden muscle contraction, such as that which might accompany a quick change in direction like pivoting or rapid acceleration like sprinting. I've also read that being forced into a split can cause an adductor tear as well. Now, in my mind, quite obviously not a doctor, folks. I shouldn't have to say that, but I don't want anybody to be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, because obviously I don't. I almost kind of hope that maybe it was he's trying to make a play, hits a wet spot on the floor, and goes into a split, and that's what caused it. Because I just I guess that would be a traumatic, tear. I just don't want it to be this thing where he was just running and tore it, because to me that would be a bigger cause of concern if it was just this random non-contact thing that caused him to tear it. Where if he's forced into a split and the injury happened that way, then you're like, okay, well, if the if he doesn't hit that wet spot in just the right way, this never happens. And then I guess I'm trying to do like psychological gymnastics in my brain to try to talk myself into him eventually being okay. But I really don't know. I doubt they'll tell us, but for peace of mind, one way or the other, that's the question that I would have is how did the injury occur?
What, in your research of the good old adductor, did they say, what was the research done on typical recovery?
So typical recovery with surgery can be anywhere in some cases like 4 to 8 weeks. Sometimes it can be like 12 to 16 weeks. So 16. You're probably looking at anywhere between like 2 to 4 months, which 4 months from now, even like the worst case thing, and I guess, again, this is like a different conversation because of the nature of his previous recoveries. But if Jonathan Isaac is healthy by the beginning of July, he's got all of July, all of August, most of September to get back into shape to be ready for training camp. Now, 16-week typical recovery for somebody, I mean, an ACL is usually 12 months at the most, and Jonathan Isaac was 904 days.
Right.
So could it be a 6-month thing for him? I don't know.
Yeah. I would hope not, obviously. But I just wonder if, let's say he's good on the low end, like recovery-wise. Totally different injury, rehab's different, whatever. Maybe, so I don't think, it's not like, because some people who maybe don't know anything about adductors, which we didn't know until really a few days ago, but maybe people just don't know the severity of these type of injuries. It's not obviously like an ACL. So there is a chance, I would say there's a good chance J.I. is playing to start the season. Now, there's another aspect of this when it comes to his contract too, Jonathan. If essentially from what I can see via Spot Track, talks about, next season partially guaranteed money, all that sort of thing. He's got 7.6 guaranteed, becomes fully guaranteed on January 10th of 2024. What if the Magic just say, we give this guy another shot? We've gone this long with him. Let's do it again. Showcase, basically a Jonathan Isaac showcase from beginning of season till January. And then you make a decision. Does that seem realistic to you? I feel like, because it's not it's obviously something that's taken out the rest of the season, but it's not an ACL or something like that. Maybe it is a freak accident. Maybe they've got visibility. Obviously, they've got visibility into what happened, probably, and when, and what this means for Jonathan Isaac. I just think that it could be they get him ready. He comes back beginning of the season. I don't know what his minutes look like, but I have no idea. I wish obviously we've talked about this. I wish he would have had the rest of the season to continue to condition it by the end of the year, be almost like 25 minutes a game or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of questions out there, and they've got a lot of decisions to make with him.
I think the biggest question that a lot of people have is like, should the Magic waive Jonathan Isaac? There are some people who are in the camp of like, I'm done with him. You need to cut him immediately, get him off this team. And I understand that. I understand the frustration behind, like, one, Jonathan Isaac is the highest paid player on this team and has been now for the last couple of years and isn't on the floor. So I understand fans' frustration with that. Number one, that's not Jonathan Isaac's fault. And number two, it's just kind of atypical across the league because of our current contract situation, given all the young guys. Like $17.4 million in the NBA right now is like around a pretty average contract. You got guys like, Steph Curry and who are making over $40 million a year. So I know it's, when you put it in that kind of context, like, oh, he's our highest paid player. Like, yes, but you're also not paying him a ton relative to other guys around the league. Now, the other question is just like, from a financial standpoint, should the Magic waive Jonathan Isaac? So to your point, Luke, looking at Spa Track, and our friend Keith Smith, who works with Spa Track, helped me with this on Twitter as well. Only $7.6 million is guaranteed to Jonathan Isaac next year. All right. If they waive him before that January date, they would save $10 million. And then the following year, he has no money guaranteed. So it really just costs you $7.6 million to move on from Jonathan Isaac right now. I don't think the Magic are going to do that. It just doesn't really seem like this front office's MO. Like if you just look at the way they've handled recent either free agency dealings or, when it comes to trade requests or a guy wants to move on from the team, they've been incredibly accommodating. If we go back to the 2021 trade deadline, Aaron Gordon moved to a contender. Evan Fournier moved to a contender for a second round pick. Maybe you could have got a better deal for Evan Fournier, but moving him to not such a great team. You move Nikola Vucevic, you put him in a really good situation with the Chicago Bulls. Waiving Terrence Ross so he can go to kind of his team of choice. Same thing with RJ Hampton, instead of trading those guys to a team maybe that they didn't necessarily want to play for. And it's just going to come down to like how shrewd does this front office want to be, or do they feel like they need to be? We've talked about the fact that the Magic have a pretty clear path to freeing up like $30+ million in cap space this year. Now that you've traded Mo Bamba, you've waived Patrick Beverley, it's really just not picking up Gary Harris's option for next year, and then the Magic have like $30 million, I believe, in cap space. Now, if you're waiving JI during the offseason, the idea would be to free up that money to have more cap space in free agency so you get closer to $40 million. Do the Magic feel like they're going to need another $10 million in free agency? I honestly have no idea. However, I think it would be an all-time bad look, league-wide, players and agents, for this kid to get hurt on your dime in 2020, rehab, comes back, plays 3 games, tears his ACL, spends 2.5 years rehabbing that. In the middle of that, while he's rehabbing, has a separate injury, tears his hamstring, requiring surgery again, rehabs, comes all the way back from that, does everything that you ask, has another hamstring injury. While he's out from that, he practices, tears his adductor in that practice, needs another surgery. Now you're going to cut the kid? After he's gone through hell the last 3 years, now you're going to come around and just give up on the kid for $10 million? From a shrewdness perspective and just strictly talking about the business of basketball, and I guess it's also tied into the conversation of how severe is the injury? How quickly do they think he's going to be back? Is he going to be back? Was this a freak injury, or is this just indicative of he's just going to be perpetually injured? Or is this just, I don't know. There's so many factors that come into play here, but I just don't think it's what we've seen from this front office. It wouldn't be consistent with their behavior to cut JI.
I agree. When do we start looking at the strength and conditioning staff and the training staff?
I don't know. Every time I ask that question, I get yelled at, and I'm told that you can't ask that. So I really don't know.
Listen, not everybody is elite at their job. Not everybody is great at their job. Everybody deserves to be criticized. These players that we criticize weekly, bi-weekly, I guess, or twice a week, whatever that is. And so these players that we do, they're the top 400 plus basketball players in the world, and we can sit down and criticize them. At what point? Yes, you are maybe one of the you're one of the best strength and conditioning staffs, training staffs in the world, right? Like, in one of the 30 best in your sport. But at what point do you have this conversation? Because like you said, you list all those instances where JI gets hurt during rehab. I don't know much, Jonathan, when it comes to that type of stuff. I've said that multiple times. When it comes to injuries, all that sort of thing, I have said it. Not a medical expert. I don't usually even dive into the injuries. What happened? What is it usual? Like that type of stuff. I don't usually dive into it. But I know even that if you're getting injured during the rehab for another injury, something's wrong. Whether it's the player and their strength or the motions that this staff is going through. Are you bringing him back too soon from stuff? Are you pushing him too soon? I don't know. Seems crazy to say about a guy who was out for 904 days with an ACL, but you got him injured during rehab. So you contributed to his time being delayed as well and running out of runway. So I don't know, man. Questions need to start being asked. All I know is that when this team was the most injured team in the league the last couple of years, people want to yell at the training staff. But when JI isn't staying healthy, they want to yell at JI. Get consistent. Who are you gonna place blame on? Is it possible it's both? That JI just has a really crappy luck and the training staff isn't going by the textbook? I don't know. It could be. But at the same time, like you got to take a look at these guys and the staff, the front office, coaches. I know you have your loyalty, but man, and you're loyal to these players. You get them to where they want to go. But I just want them to stay here. So don't they can't mess this up even more. Like you said, you can't waive the guy. You are like the blood's on your hands, quite frankly, when it comes to Jonathan Isaac. This guy has every right to look at this training staff and be like, I don't want to be here. Someone's got to say it. And it is what it is, but it's just super frustrating to me.
So I get the frustration. I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit here just because of the nature of this like happening in practice, we have no idea what happened. Like if it was him hitting like a slick spot and going into like a split and tearing it, like what is the training staff supposed to do about that? Like, and again,
it's not just that though.
Oh no, I trust me. I understand the frustration and I understand wanting to ask the question. We're just never going to have enough information on our side to be like, this is what you guys did wrong. Like we'll never have the ability to do that for a number of reasons. Most of them are good reasons, but it's going to be up to the front office. Like they're going to reevaluate everything at the end of the season. This year, it's a whole new training staff again after the training staff left last year. If it comes down to it being an issue with training staff, open the piggy bank. Go and get the biggest and best name. I don't know who it is. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the best strength and conditioning staffs in the world. I don't care if it's the NBA. I don't care who it is. Go and get somebody. But I understand it's a fair question to ask, but I think it's a super hard thing to like point to like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. Like with a player, it's like, all right, we see you're not making shots, you're not doing this, and your process can be awesome. But if your results suck, it's a results-driven league. I don't care how great your process is. If you're not getting the result, you need to get somebody who's going to get the result. You can be the hardest. Let's look at it from a player perspective. You can be the hardest working player. You can be the best teammate. You can have the best work ethic. You can do all the things great in practice. But what counts is what happens in the games. If you're not hitting shots, you're not doing what you need to on the floor to help your team win, you're going to be out of a job. Doesn't matter how great your process is. As a training staff, your process can be fantastic. But if for some reason like guys keep getting hurt, it's like, all right, do we just have the all-time worst luck, this like current roster that we have? Just like nobody on the team can seem to stay healthy outside of a couple of guys. Luckily, it's the most important guys that have stayed healthy. But I don't know. I think it's an incredibly difficult thing to figure out, but I do feel like it's fair to ask the question. But I don't have
I'm
the
not
answers.
saying
I don't think anybody
right,
does.
and I'm not saying by any means that is the answer. Is away with the training staff, because like you said, we will never know. But I am just begging and pleading with the organization to find answers and make their judgment based on those things, not their loyalty
Just
to
make
the
it
staff
stop.
that they
Just make it
bring
all
on.
stop. Just make the injuries stop.
Make it all
please.
stop. And I think that
turn the
obviously,
injury slider off.
right, yeah. If it is Jonathan Isaac, and this is my point too, like as a counter to what I even was to my argument, showing that I like genuinely don't know. JI has played over 34 games once in his career. Once. He played 75 games in his second year. Then he goes on to play 34, 2 seasons off, 904 days, as we know so well. And then he plays 11. So, man, it is a tough situation. Hate it for JI. Hate it for the people making the decisions. All around, just it does suck.
Last question that I have about this: Will Ji play again? And I think I'm just mostly asking like for the person, because I forget who he was asked by. I think maybe it was Jeff Turner before a game a while back, but he was I forget when it was asked. Basically, he was asked like, was there any point where you like wanted to give up? Like, you were like, enough is enough. He's like, oh yeah, like of course there was. Like I'm human. At what point does he say like I'm done doing this? Like enough is enough.
Yeah. That's also a fair question. I think, like you said, from a personal side. But I also think that if there's anybody that's going to just continue to say no and object to the hardships and the hurdles in his way, it's going to be Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
I think a lot of players bow out after that journey with the ACL that he had. And then I think even more bow out after this injury. It's a terrible situation. There's no way around it. And I mean, but like I said, if there's anybody that's going to push through it, it's JI. So I'm never gonna count out JI. I hope that like his body just isn't betraying him. And I hope that's not what this comes down to and is the reason that he retires. I hope he can retire on his own terms, not due to injury. So I think that he'll continue. I don't know if it's the right answer, but I know he'll be confident in his answer. So I mean he's going to do what he feels like he needs to do. But some point soon here, the writing's got to be on the wall. He gets injured again, forget about it. You're not supposed to be playing basketball. You did what you're supposed to do. Now go make a career doing whatever you want to do. JI could do that. And JI has made more than well enough money for, and has probably been very smart with it, that he'll be good no matter what he decides to do. So all the best to him. I hope his recovery's smooth. I hope he's back well before the season begins, and that we're able to see him in preseason, ramp up those minutes. Man.
I think he does play again. I think it's for the Magic. I'm really just not sure. Like I don't know that anybody, like if the Magic are just like, look, we have these 2, maybe even 3 or 4 awesome young players, by the time the draft comes and goes, and they're like, we need to really dive into this window, and waiving JI is going to open up cap space to allow us to be aggressive in free agency and like really move the needle forward pretty quickly. I don't see them doing that. It just wouldn't be consistent with things that they've done. Like
Right.
Paolo's going to be in year 2, Franz is going to be in year 3. Like the window like isn't even opening yet. Like you don't have to worry about the window closing at this point, unless Paolo starts to become unhappy with the way things are going, and you feel like you need to get aggressive to keep him. Because I will say this: you lost Shaq, You lost T-Mac. You lost Dwight. You cannot allow yourself to lose Paolo. Like, I literally do not care what you have to do to keep Paolo. You do everything you have to do to keep Paolo when those decisions need to be made. But I don't think J.I. gets moved. I think we see him again in a Magic uniform next season. I don't know if it's at the beginning of the season. I don't know if it's in the middle of the season. This shouldn't be like the ACL. At least I would hope not, and I don't think so. But the real question is just like, you can't really depend on him being healthy moving forward. We talked about this all last offseason.
Yep.
You have to act like whatever you get from Jonathan Isaac is a bonus. It would be irresponsible to just move forward thinking that he's going to be a part of the long-term plans, because at this point you honestly have no idea. And then there's the people that are like, oh, we should trade him. Like, don't waive him, but the Magic should trade him. Jonathan Isaac's trade value is at an all-time low. No team is giving you anything significant from Jonathan Isaac. The risk versus the reward, if he can get healthy and eventually stay healthy, far outweighs what you would get for him if you were to move him anytime within the next year, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fully agree.
It sucks. Wish Jonathan all the best of luck. We know that he's going to attack this rehab and recovery. I'm sure, spirit's probably going to be low for a little bit, just like any human beings would. But again, if we know anybody that can bounce back from this, it's going to be J.I. I just hope that his body cooperates moving forward. And ultimately just want what's best for the kid. But that really sucked. All right, let's give a quick shout out to our patrons. Our patrons are the folks who help financially support the show week in and week out to help us do all of the awesome things that we do. We always shout out our All-Star and our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons on every episode. So I'll start by shouting out the Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, The Distract, Donkey Punch Dave, It's Not Okay to Say Okiki, Pierre A, Migzors, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Eduardo Sanchez Drum, Danimal, Dutto 15, Bobby Skinner, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Squealan, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism Time, Mr. TV, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Freakin', Shahin 177, Bulby the Don, Himlo Ban Himro, RM Prof 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Let's Spank Don't Tank, Soft Taco, Jesse, Fuego Nando, Phantom Wolf 72, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Bull, his first name is his last name. A big shout out to our Elite tier and Hall of Fame tier patrons, and a big shout out to all of our patrons. If you want to join the Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/The6Man-Show. Luke, Friday night, we were at Burton's downtown Orlando for the watch party to watch the Magic take on the Charlotte Hornets. And we went into this game, Luke, with the attitude that this was absolutely a must-win for the Orlando Magic. And although the Magic do get the 111-116 victory, the Magic had as big as a 24-point lead in this game before it got pretty close single digits in the fourth quarter. So although the Magic were able to pull out the win, Luke, and it was a massive game for the rookie Paolo Banchero, I wasn't nearly as excited after this game as I hoped I would be. One, the Jonathan Isaac news put a big damper on the day. Franz Wagner getting hurt in the second quarter, and then the Magic having such a big lead and then kind of almost squandering that in that fourth quarter. You got the win, Luke, but again, as the standings seem to just kind of be getting away from us, the wins are not as exciting as they were a couple weeks ago. Especially, this is a game that was necessary to win. And up 24, you're like, okay, this is great. This is exactly how this team needed to respond after that loss to Milwaukee. But kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit. Let Charlotte get back into the game. And you really just would want to see the Magic just squeeze the life out of the Hornets. Spray some Raid on the Hornets, if you will.
Yeah. I listen. This isn't like some people listening are like, you guys have like deemed this season over. Why is this a must win? You have to have it because this isn't like a short term goal thing to beat the Hornets without LaMelo and essentially their best players being Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre. This is important for the culture, to be quite honest. Like, this is a game you have to win because you have to beat the teams that you should beat. So while the game got the single digits and, it got tight and there was some nerves there near the end, I was just glad that they were able to walk out of Charlotte with a win. You had a fun game from Paolo Banchero, and he goes like, not only does he put up 31, because sometimes he'll put up high volume numbers, Jonathan, and a lot of it will be because of like his free throws, the free throw at which like the rate at which he shoots them, and then maybe an inefficient night from the field, as is the case with a lot of rookies being inefficient. Paolo goes 50% from the field, decides I don't even need free throws. He shoots 4. Imagine if he gets to the line his normal amount of times, 7 times a game, 8 times a game. You could be looking at whatever it is, right? Like 35 plus point game from him. But super impressive. There was a point, Jonathan, where Paolo I love when I get a heat check out of Paolo Banchero. It is so much fun. And like you talked about as well, like you said it in Burton's, he pulls up, takes that 3 after he's just been like scorching the net. You're like, man, the half second I thought that 3 went in was super fun because I think he airballed it or grazed the front of the rim, but it did look like it at first. And Burton's we about blew the roof off that place. But that was one of the most fun stretches of the season for me, honestly. Just the way that he took over the game. He's been doing it more and more lately, where he just has these stretches where he takes over. And it's been super fun every single time. But it just feels like the last time is the most fun time every single time because he shows you that he can take over this game and he can win you the game. It's just incredible to watch.
Yeah, he's having, I think it was in the second half, if I'm not mistaken, where he's really just taking the game over. Didn't seem to be anything that the Hornets could do. We've been kind of waiting for a performance like that where he is just, knocking down jumpers at a pretty high clip, which was the case. Just super fun. Again, we talk about these watch parties, but I feel like part of what made that so fun was the atmosphere. Like I feel like on any given night, if the Magic have like 4 or 5 plays in a row that seem to go their way, if you're surrounded by 100 other Magic fans, it's probably going to be one of the most fun stretches of the year because everybody's going crazy, and that energy is really infectious. So if you haven't been to one of these things, you've heard us talk about them all the time. You really need to come out and experience it for yourself. But there were a few really good, individual, offensive performances in this game. The Magic shoot 53% from the floor, but you're allowing a team, the Charlotte Hornets, again, without LaMelo Ball, to shoot 48% from the floor, 37% from the 3-point line. And you kill this team on the boards, 42-34 advantage to the Orlando Magic. But the turnovers, 18 for the Magic, 20 for the Charlotte Hornets. Again, this is a young team. I guess maybe I expect too much of them, on a nightly basis. But you're going down the box score. The only guy who got significant playing time, who attempted a field goal that didn't shoot at least 50%, was Caleb Houston, 1 for 3. Franz Wagner, 60%. Paolo, 50. Wendell, 66. Gary, 50. Markelle, 50. Cole Anthony, 60. Jalen Suggs, 55%. Moritz Wagner, 54%. Like, the offense was going, and the defense just wasn't quite there for the full duration of the game, where I feel like this very easily could have been a 25 to 30 point Magic win. But again, 117 to 106 win for the Orlando Magic over a team that you absolutely needed to beat. We always say beat the teams that you should beat.
Mm-hmm.
And what was even a little bit sweeter, or do you have another point on this before I shout out our boys over at PJ?
Yeah. I was just gonna say real quick that a part of that Paolo Banchero takeover that was so fun is just noting that it really started happening when Franz goes out of that game with his injury. And I said it when the Pelicans game, right? Where I talked about Paolo is starting to take these games over, right place, right time. He knows the cue. Okay, turn my music on because it's my time. And his cue in this game was Franz Wagner going down. And he said, this is my team. This is a must win with or without Franz Wagner. And we got to make sure that, I do make the plays that I have to make to get the win. And he did that. And I just thought that was kind of what made it even more impressive to me, was that he did it without his wingman, right? And, y'all can decide who's Batman, who's Robin, but he did it without one of those. And man, he was just, I can't iterate how much fun he is and how thankful I am that this front office once again didn't listen to me on draft night, because I would have been sick. But I'm going to say that forever. I would have been sick. So, man, but yeah, you can go ahead. Shout out our boys at Old Papa.
Well, no, to your point, Paolo in the second half after Franz goes down, 22 points, 56% from the floor.
It's a bad boy.
2 rebounds, 2 assists.
There's no other way around it. It's a bad boy.
I think he's Batman. I think I'm pretty confident saying he's Batman. But
Franz
might not even be Robin. Like Franz is Nightwing. Like he's fully grown Robin who's like doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But shout out to our boys over at Papa John's, our boys and our girls over at Papa John's, I should say. Because remember, folks, at the day after every Magic victory, you can get 50% off your online order from Papa John's with code MAGICWIN. Speaking of Magic Win, the Magic did not win Sunday night against the Portland Trailblazers at home. The 122 to 119 loss. Franz Wagner played in this game, bum ankle, fantastic. Paolo Banchero, another game, fantastic. Mo Wagner, fantastic. Jalen Suggs, fantastic. Markelle Fultz, fantastic. Everybody else, not so fantastic. But really what it came down to, no Wendell, no Gary Harris. The Magic just crushed on the boards, 56 to 41 advantage, the Portland Trailblazers. The Magic shoot 31 free throws in this game, but allow Portland to shoot 32. Their inability to guard without fouling. Damian Lillard, 17 of 20 from the free throw line. He's dropped 41 on the Magic to go with 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Damian Lillard. Magic's defense just not good enough. I mean, 119 points for the Magic, that has to be enough for you. Like this team should be good enough defensively. You hang 119 points on somebody, that should be good enough to win the game.
Yeah, you would think. Dame drops 41, right? And Dame is averaging over 30 this year. But it just continues to feel, and I know it's the truth, like it's the 40-point game by these superstars feels like the old 30 points in a game. Everything just feels so inflated. But I think a big part of the reason that I looked up and I was like, Dame's got how many? Is because of how many free throws he shoots, like you mentioned. You also, you're able to limit your turnovers. You caused 17 of them. You caused 17 for the Blazers. You shoot about on par from the 3. You shoot better from the field. You shoot one more shot than them. But they out-rebound you, 46-38. That's a big part of this. And there's just, listen, you're injured, right? You don't have J.I., you don't have Gary. You don't have Wendell. Those are big pieces. You're without two of your starters in this game, but it just leads to some lineups that I see out there. Like I texted you guys during the game, and I was like, I could do with never seeing this lineup again. You're just going to have that. And Mosley doesn't really have too much of a choice. But I don't know, man. And once again, though, Mosley goes to practically an 8-man rotation with Schofield then playing 8 minutes. Goga playing finally checks in the game in the beginning of the fourth quarter. There's an argument, should Goga have played more minutes?
There's
an
only
argument to
two
be made
players
there.
that had a positive plus minus tonight. Franz Wagner +2 and Goga +3. Goga played
Right.
6 minutes.
Yeah, so Goga, while in a small sample size, he was +3. No way around it. Got an oop from Bull.
Goga does some things. I like Goga.
He does.
As a
I
third
don't
center, he's totally fine.
Yeah, and I think that's the case. But I also want to see him in more minutes just so I can decide if I like Goga. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard because
like
you have these small windows. It's easy like to do the right thing when like you know your role and all that kind of thing. And I think that's the case with him. I do think that I would like him even if he did play 15 plus minutes a game. I don't think I'd have an issue with it, especially in a game like tonight where you don't have a true center besides him coming off the bench. You could argue, I mean, what, Mo Wagner, is he a center? He's undersized.
He's a combo big, which is the weirdest NBA term you could give someone.
Yeah. So I think that maybe you look at this, hindsight's 2020, but you look at this game and you say, if Goga's in there, I mean, he gets 2 rebounds in 6 minutes. It's, whatever. He does well. He does well in this game. Gives you a spark at the beginning of that fourth. Scores the first time he touches the ball, I think. Then he catches that lob from Bull. Bull, by the way, had one of his best games this year. I'll say it. Limited minutes, 17 minutes, right? 4 of 7, though. He's efficient. 1 of 2 from 3. The biggest thing to me, he had 3 assists and 0 turnovers. I don't know Bull's assist-to-turnover ratio this year, but I know that's not good.
I just don't think there's this. I don't even think this is probably like top 5. Like I get what you're saying. Maybe from like a decision-making standpoint, it's probably the best game that he's played in quite a while. But like I'm just gonna go to his game log here and go to like the earlier part of the year. Like 23.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. I mean, he had a 21.7 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 turnover game in December. Like November, December Bull was like pretty solid.
He was.
As soon as he came out of the starting lineup, season changed for him.
Maybe I should have said off the bench.
Okay,
maybe that would be the better. Maybe that would be better. I know that I knew he had obviously crazy offensive outputs. Everybody was on board with Bull beginning of the year. But I think that also can speak to how long it's been since we've had a bowl game where I looked at and I was like, hey, he didn't piss me off this game. He took over on offensive possessions when he could. I think he made the right reads. He was efficient, obviously. But I was just happy to see him have 3 assists. I don't know what his season high is for assists, but
3 is probably up there.
It's got to be.
The Goga thing for me is like even in the first half, you're out rebounded 25-16. Like it was evident pretty early on you were gonna miss the rebounding presence that Wendell gives you. It's like, come on, like you've got Goga sitting there, like throw him in there for a couple of minutes and see what he can do. And in that second half, he was thrown in. He looked pretty good, and the lineup looked pretty good with him. So I would have liked to see Jamal. Like if something comes to my mind, and then Jamal does it right after, that's not a good sign. If I'm like, hey, this would be a good idea, and then Jamal does it, I want Jamal to be like 5 steps ahead of me. I'm not this brilliant basketball mind, and you guys may have noticed that. I just felt you could have gone to Goga much earlier given the rebounding, in this game. But that, and it's just like, you can talk about officiating, all right? But in a game where you shoot 30 plus free throws, don't complain about the other team shooting 30 plus free throws.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, though, Damian Lillard gets the star whistle. Like, it's the NBA. We know that is how it goes down.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in the position. Like, there's a possession late where, like, they needed a bucket. Damian Lillard saw a little fresh meat Caleb Houston, was like, I want that boy. Get over here. And just went to work, and Caleb quite blatantly fouled him. Like, it's a rookie guarding Damian Lillard during Dame time. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
And Markelle did an admirable job.
Admirable.
I just said admirable.
Not an
Admiral Schofield job. No, he did an admirable job. But you've got Jalen Suggs on the frickin' floor. What are we doing? Keep Jalen on Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I wanted to add something about Bull that I just found that was actually interesting. So I mentioned it has to be the most assists in a game for him. This was just the fourth time tonight in his career that he has 3 assists in a game. And the last time he did it, and the only other time that he did it with 3 assists and 0 turnovers, against Charlotte on Friday night.
Look at that.
So Bull, he's maybe a little shift in mindset for him. Back-to-back games, 3 assists, 0 turnovers. I could get used to that with a spot off the bench. You need it because in like the other times he has 3 assists in his career, which was last year, he has 3 turnovers and 4 turnovers in those games. So that's your Bull fun fact for tonight.
I wanted to ask you, Luke, really this is probably going to be the last bit that we talk about this. The last 30 seconds of this game was really like the Magic fouling the Trailblazers to stop the clock, Trailblazers hitting their free throws, the Magic getting the ball, and then the Trailblazers intentionally fouling the Magic so they couldn't get up a 3 attempt. Just forced, like, all right, we're just going to make our free throws the rest of the way here. As long as we keep making them, we're going to win the game. When you're the team trailing, you're like, you guys are cowards. You have no self-respect. You are spineless. This is terrible. This is the worst thing I've ever watched, because you're like, all right, we don't have a chance unless Damian Lillard is going to miss a free throw here at the end of the game, which is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When you're the team, you're like, don't lose.
Yeah.
When you're the team that's winning the game, you're like, hey, sucks to suck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I see a lot of people, obviously, again, when it's your team, I get the frustration. I was frustrated. But to me, it's just one of those things, like, it is what it is. I see people calling for, like, a rule change or something like that. Luke, I don't know how you feel about it. This is the way that I see it, is you can't institute a rule, like a late game rule, that only benefits the team that is trailing in the game. If the rule is going to be, hey, you can't foul in the backcourt in the last 30 seconds of a game, well then you've taken away a pretty big mechanism that teams can use. You're forcing a team to go to the line and make their free throws. If not, you've got a chance to close the gap or take the lead or whatever. I don't see there being a way where you can make a rule that just doesn't completely cut the legs out from the team that is, for the first 47 and a half minutes, has been the better team. I don't see a rule fixing this. It just, and Jamal Mosley was asked about this in the postgame, like, you think there's some kind of rule that can be implemented to fix this? And he's like, no, it just is what it is.
Yeah, no, I think I felt that, as far as, like, obviously I was frustrated tonight at the end of the game. It just sucks. But it has nothing to do with that. Like, you're really mad because your team isn't the one leading. But I felt this frustration. I think it was the next game that we had, where it was literally the same thing. Down by 3, they're just fouling. We're all hitting our free throws, and that's it. Let's go home. It is frustrating. But I think I would equate it to, like, in football, when the team that's leading late in the game has the ball and they're at the point where like they can kneel to run the clock out. That's what it feels like. And it's the same sentiment. It's like don't be losing then. You shouldn't be mad about this. I'm going to kneel the ball. I'm going to run the clock out. I'm going to keep doing that. Oh, you have no timeouts left to stop the clock anymore. I'm going to continue to kneel the ball out, and we're going to win this game. It's frustrating. There's nothing more frustrating than that, right? Where like realization sets in that your team's going to lose. And it is. It does suck. But yeah, man. Listen, I don't think there's anything you can do. Like Jamal said, nothing you can do because you're not about to give an advantage to the team that's losing. Just be better. That's all you can really do. So, yeah, that's really my piece on it. There's nothing you can do.
The thing that really sucks about it is I would say like even 3-4 years ago, there was like a handful of teams that would do this.
Yeah, that's what I was also. Yeah.
The other thing is like now, like teams are saying like it works.
Yeah.
If you just hit your free throws, you're going to win the game. It's impossible to lose the game as long as you make your free throws.
Yeah, that was definitely a debate, and I remember it a lot.
I think it's gonna get worse, but I don't think there's anything you can do about it.
No, I don't think it's a debate anymore. It used to be a debate. Hey, if you're up 3, do you foul and send them to the line for 2?
Unless you're an awful free throw shooting team.
Right. Yeah, then maybe you don't do it. But if you've got Damian Lillard and those other guys, no point, right? Like, it is what it is. I also just, like, real quick want to add the reason, like, to speak to Damian Lillard and the gravity that he brings every single game just by being who he is. We know this. Like, he dropped 71, right? Like, this isn't no secret. And everybody knows it. And that's why, especially down the stretch, you're seeing Dame getting doubled immediately, right? Eubanks comes up, sets a screen. Eubanks' man as well as Dame's man stay on Dame. But also that kind of leads to the downfall of this game too, with like 34 seconds left. He gets it to Eubanks. Eubanks kicks it to the corner. They kick it to Nassir Little, and he hits a 3 to basically what felt like ice the game and put you in that scenario where you're down 3 the rest of the game. It's unfortunate, but it speaks to Dame and how you have to game plan for him. Blazers see that crap all year. They're ready for it. They know this is when teams are probably going to double, and this is the action we can run right after that, and someone's going to be open every time. It's simple, but it's frustrating. And when you've got a guy like Dame, it makes me realize and be that much more excited for, when Paolo and Franz are really coming into their own. They're in their prime, and teams got to throw doubles, or they can't afford a double because you got 2 guys that are able to cook, and you just got to hope you stop them one-on-one. It made me excited for the future, thinking about like what the Magic will be able to do in the future too.
You made a point a few minutes ago about some inflationary scoring, and I believe this was a Magic broadcast recently where they were talking about this, Luke, that 10 years ago, the 2012-2013 season, the amount of players that scored equal to or greater than 20 points in that season, it was 9 guys. It was Carmelo, KD, Kobe, LeBron, Harden, Russ, Steph, Dwayne Wade, and LaMarcus Aldridge. This year, there are 43 guys scoring at least 20 points per game. There's inflation for you. In this economy,
that is crazy.
So yeah, it's 40 is the new 30. 30 is the new 20. It feels like maybe not quite that extreme, but just so many guys scoring 20 points a game now. 20 feels like the new 15. I think maybe that's accurate to say.
I would say.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the week ahead, Luke. So the Magic don't play until Tuesday, where they will play again the Milwaukee Bucks, this time at home.
Hey.
3-game homestand here. So Milwaukee, then on Thursday you play the Utah Jazz, and then you'll finish the week playing Miami at home. Luke, I think I won this past week. Is that correct?
I said
3-1.
3-1. I was so close.
I think I said 2-2. Kevin will let us know for sure. I think I said 2-2.
I believe you did.
which if that's the case, the year is getting close coming down the stretch here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you your props. You've officially defeated me in our fantasy basketball playoffs. So I will tip my hat
Pending
to
any
you.
stat corrections, but I hope so, yeah.
It would have to be crazy amount of stat corrections, Just not my year, Don't want to make excuses. Had a couple of guys out today. Maybe could have helped. I also forgot to start Brandon Ingram earlier in the week, which definitely did not help. But congratulations. This is the league that we're in with the guys from Through the Wire. So Pierre, Pee Wee to plug, our boy Kenny Beecham, the guys from the Pick a Side podcast as well. So rooting for Luke the rest of the way here, but definitely was not my year. And yeah, I'll be sending whoever wins that my $40 there.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think happens this week with these 3 games?
I'm going to go 2-1.
Ooh, okay.
Going 2-1. I know that I recently said that if you were going to beat the Heat, it had to have been that last home game. You had it in the bag, it felt like, and you blow it. That's a redeem game. Like redemption for sure. And I only say that because the Heat have not been good their last 15. They're 6-9. Nice. In their last 15. So I'm going to say that you win that game. I'm going to say you win the Jazz game. They've also been not great in their last 15. Up to this point, they're 6-9 as well. Nice. And the Bucks are the Bucks, so you're going to lose. So I'm going 2-1.
I'm going to go 1-2, unfortunately. I think you lose, you win, then you lose again. Looking at the Miami Heat schedule, actually, we got them second night of a back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to change my mind because I didn't look at the schedule till just now. All right, I'm going 2-1 as well, so it looks like we're going to tie at best this week. I'll have to 5 weeks left in the season. I still got plenty of time to close the gap and maybe tie it up or take the lead, but yeah. The only thing is, Magic fans, just show up to this game Saturday. Just please. I won't be there, luckily, for this one, but I don't want to hear it through the TV. I really don't want to hear the Let's Go Heat chants at Amway.
Yeah.
Please.
If you can go. Jonathan, I know I'm saving this for the last thing. We don't have to add any commentary because this is a thick boy episode, but we did mention that I had some math for the play-in. So I do want to quickly give my math for the play-in. Up to this point, the Wizards did lose to the Bucks tonight. Right now, Wizards have 18 games left, and then everybody else in this conversation has 17. Pacers, Bulls, Magic. For the Magic to make the play-in by 1 win better than all of these teams, here's what has to happen. The Magic have to go 11-6, putting them at a record of 38-44. The Wizards have to go 7-11 in these final 18 games for them, putting up 37-45. And the Bulls and the Pacers to end up 37-45, one win worse than the Magic. They each have to go 8-9. So this requires the Magic to play well over 500 basketball and the rest of them to play under 500 basketball, essentially. Just math does not seem to be on the side of the Magic. The odds that these teams all struggle and go under 500. The Magic play the Wizards twice, which could help if you beat them both times. But then you got to hope that the Bulls and the Pacers also are playing bad basketball. Just doesn't feel like that's the case, Jonathan.
The Magic would probably have to have like a 7-game win streak at this point for all that to happen. And if you just like look in the schedule, it's like, where are you going to find 7 straight wins? It's just, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. You know what? Just for, what's in giggles, let's run the lottery one more time. And the Magic got the 7th and the 8th pick, kept the Bulls pick, 7th pick. Not great, but maybe you can package those up and move up to 4 or 5. Who knows? But folks, that is going to do it for us for this episode. You guys, for Luke Sylvia, for Jonathan Osborne, you guys have been listening to the 6-Man Show. We will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!